OIS being disabled in videos. So this is the Realme GT Neo 3 150 watt 5G, names these days. But before we get to it, there's a very interesting thing. So OnePlus 10R will more or less be exactly the same phone. So the question is, how good is the Realme GT Neo 3? Well, it's a very interesting phone. We'll find out together. Let's go. And if you love finding things out with us, subscribe to TechWiser. Okay, this is a big box, and first, exploring the aesthetics of technology. Some paperwork, a case, slightly grayish, and you get a 150 watt PD charger, Type C to Type C cable, and damn, the charger is heavy, like 218 grams. I think a bit heavier than the phone itself. Like the phone weighs 191 grams. And this, by the way, is the first phone in India to have 150 watt fast charging. And you know what? While we talk about fast charging, let's keep the phone on charge. Right now, you have 3% battery. Let me plugged in, charging, and here is the timer. Meanwhile, there is a big misconception where people feel, number one, 150 watt means charging always at 150 watt. Number two, 150 watt fast charging is super harmful for your battery health. Well, number one, 150 watt is like your bike car top speed. When needed, it can go up to 150 watt. It not always drives at top speed. Second, charging and battery tech has improved quite a lot, and there's no actual study or research to say that fast charging in smartphones harm battery life. In fact, Realme promises 1600 charge and discharge cycles until your battery reaches 80% battery health. To give you an idea, Apple claims 500 charge cycles for the same 80% battery health for 25 watt fast charging. So Realme is offering like 3 times more battery health at 150 watt fast charging. And by the way, 2 minutes 13 seconds, and it has charged 31%, from 3% to 31%. So 6,000 likes and we do a video on fast charging explained. Really interesting video, TechWiser style. Now, the color of the phone is quite flamboyant, fancy. Like you could be very far in a crowded place and people will still know that you have a Realme GT Neo 3. And there you have it, smaller dare to leap. I would say if you're a simple person, there's a black color as well with no stripes and no dare to leap. And thank you Realme for having that option. Now the display is very interesting. You have a 6.7 inch 1080p Full HD AMOLED display. It's a 10-bit display and Realme is promising really good color accuracy. Now for the price, I liked the colors, brightness and overall display quality. It's a good display. You also have a dedicated display chip for smoother frames while gaming or watching videos. And if you have no idea about 10-bit display, here's a good video. And as usual, you get Widevine L1 for Netflix and Prime Video. You can also play HDR videos on YouTube. Also, you get Corning Gorilla Glass 5 protection, but glass is glass. And you have dual stereo speakers. Here, have a listen to it. It's loud, there's like good bass to it, but 60% volume comes from the bottom speaker and 40% from the top speaker, but it's a good stereo speaker for the price. Now, this is the first phone in India to come with Dimensity 8100, 8GB LPDDR5 RAM and 128GB UFS 3.1 storage. Now, for people who don't know, Snapdragon 8 Gen 1, Snapdragon 888 from last year all had heating issues. So we were looking at MediaTek chips like, please save us. Now, you can consider this MediaTek 8100 to be as powerful or a bit below Snapdragon 888. First of all, CPU throttling is an app which checks heating and performance of the CPU, and as you can see, it performed really well, only 88% throttling. So I was like, let's take this further. So I ran the CPU throttling test for half an hour and it had really good scores and it just throttled to 74%, which is like, damn! And even NT2 benchmark, which compares your phone's CPU, GPU, everything, it scored 7,41,452, close to Snapdragon 888. So this is a very cool and good CPU, but here's the twist. I opened it to play BGMI and see, smooth graphics, high frame rate, 30 FPS only. And then I checked Call of Duty. This has a bit better game support, max graphics at high frame rates. But this game support should improve in a week or so, and then only we'll be able to test the full capacity of Dimensity 8100. And I'll personally keep a track of it. GT Neo 3 comes with 50 megapixel Sony IMX766 sensor with OIS. Now, in case you remember, the Realme 9 Pro Plus had the same main sensor and it is one of the best camera in that price range. But what about GT Neo 3? Well, only one person can find out. Manu sir. No, take my photo. What? Now, surprisingly, I liked the colors in the photo. Like, my skin tone looked quite natural in these photos, and also this is a very good sensor. So if you zoom in into my photos, it's sharp, it lets in a lot of light, and even the dynamic range is good when you take photos against this bright sunlight. Like, you can see me as well as the area behind the glass. Now you also get an 8 megapixel ultra wide angle camera. Now the ultra wide angle camera kind of slightly has like a reddish tint. If you look at the photos of me, my skin looks a bit reddish. Also, if you zoom in, it's not that sharp. Also, I noticed an interesting thing, like you have OIS, but when I was recording 4K videos, there's absolutely no stabilization. And when you go to 1080p 30 FPS, there is stabilization, and the camera app has no option to enable or disable stabilization. Like here, have a look at it carefully. Like I'm in the photo mode and now the lens is moving if I shake the phone. And then when I go to video mode, the lens altogether stops moving. So now there is much confusion about OIS. So we have asked Realme and we'll update you once we get an answer from them. And you get a 16 megapixel selfie camera, and the photos out of it, I liked the skin tone. It was sharp enough. But in terms of videos, you can only record up to 1080p 30 FPS. I mean, like, it's about time that phones about 30-35,000 should give 4K video recording on the front selfie camera. Like, I make reels through the front camera. And of course, you get a 2 megapixel macro camera. Like, obviously it has to be. Now you get Realme UI based on Android 12. And here is where OnePlus users will be like, Pratik, Oxygen OS is better than Realme UI, and that is what we get in OnePlus 10R, and that's what separates OnePlus phone from Realme phones. Well, really? Oxygen OS and Realme UI both are more or less close to each other, and the only difference is you do get a few bloatwares in Realme UI which you can be easily uninstalled. And let me show you a really good thing. I've been using Oxygen OS for 20 days now, and see here, if you increase the volume on both phones, the volume menu comes in right, looks really good. And now when you open a video on YouTube in landscape and now increase the volume slider on Oxygen OS is on the right, plus now it's smaller. Realme UI still looks good. Rest, you have the same icon customization options, same transition options in both Realme UI and Oxygen OS. Basically same UI, just different names. And I've seen like way different and too many bugs in Oxygen OS. Also, Realme kind of promises 2 years of Android updates and 3 years of security update for GT Neo series. Now, in terms of battery, there are two variants for GT Neo 3. Number one is 80 watt fast charging with 5000 mAh battery, and then you have 150 watt fast charging with a 4500 mAh battery. It has 9 5G bands and you get 4G plus carrier aggregation. I checked it with my Jio SIM. You also get all the important sensor, plus you have NFC. Now, I'm not sure of the pricing of the Realme GT Neo 3, but as per rumors, it should start somewhere at 35,000 for the 80 watt variant, if I'm not wrong. And I would say, wait for a comparison or a detailed review of the GT Neo 3. And of course, people expecting GT Neo 3 to be in like GT Neo 2 sale. You guys are legends for buying that phone. This is Pratik signing off. See ya pretty soon. Pew, pew, pew.